Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, for today's video, well, now that Forge is available for dev-made maps, starting with the Season 3 update, we're going to be looking at all the secret hidden areas on the multiplayer maps. Some of them official, some of them not so official. So, let's start with the map Aquarius. So, on this map, in the middle, there's a little structure in the middle, there's these two air vents on each side, and you could just delete them in Forge, and deleting them lets you access this room in here. And it's a tiny little room, but it's accessible nonetheless, and you can delete both vents on both sides, and who knows what you can forge in here. Oh, there's also a little secret sandwich here in the middle, so yeah, there's that. And if you're wondering, the room here, I guess the greenhouse room or whatever you want to call it, that room is not accessible. There's a barrier here, I can't really get past in Forge, and the ground isn't solid either. So it looks like it'd be a cool room to explore and walk around, but unfortunately it's not really a real room. Next up we have the map Bazaar. So on this map there's actually a couple of things as well. So first one is right over here in the corner of the map, in this room with the stairs. This door here in the corner, you could delete that door. And deleting it reveals this little hallway here. And that leads to this door here that you can also delete, and that connects you right to the outside of the map here. So this whole time this passage was here, but it was just blocked off by Forge objects, which you can now delete because you can forge in dev-made maps, which is honestly like my favorite feature of the Season 3 update. It's being able to forge on dev-made maps has been such a really cool thing so far. But anyways, on the other side of the map is another room. You just gotta delete that door there. You can do it from the center, or this gated area here. You can just delete the gates too. Both gates are just Forge objects this whole time. You know, you probably thought the area was sealed off and there's no way through, but they're all just Forge objects. You could just delete it and walk right on in. And this area is not official, as in like it's technically like a glitch, like out of the map. But if you fly through that gate there, you can technically walk around out here and do some stuff, but it's you're technically out of the map, and if you walk too far out, then well, you just fall into the map, and there's really nothing else out here. So next up we have the map Behemoth. On this map there are two secret areas. Technically they're the same, but that's because the map is symmetrical. But if you come over here to either side of the map, you'll see where the weapon, the vehicle pad spawn. Delete the vehicle pad, and then this whole thing is actually just a gate or like a platform that you could move or just delete. I actually moved it in this case because it looks cooler when I move. It looks like a sliding door, like a silo opening up. And you could probably script it in Forge to actually open like that too. Or you could just simply delete it too. You don't have to slide it aside. But that leads to this area down here. And I know a long time ago people have actually I think accessed this room in theater mode or something like that, or found evidence of this room. But now with Forge we can actually access it, and it leads to this area in the middle. And of course on the other side it's the same thing. Just delete both doors or gates or whatever you want to call them, and you have access to both secret areas. And I'm sure there's a lot people could do with this in Forge for their custom maps and whatnot. So yeah, that's it for Behemoth. Next up on Deadlock. This map technically doesn't really have anything on it, and you may notice that I skipped a few maps actually once you watch through the whole video, and I skipped maps where I couldn't find anything significant, and I almost skipped Deadlock. But if you fly inside this AA cannon on Deadlock, there's a small area in the middle of the room that you can actually stand in, and I don't know, you could maybe do something, but that's just one tiny little area, and there's really nothing else on Deadlock that's interesting, I would say. Next up is the map Launch Site, everyone's favorite map in Halo Infinite. So on this map, there are two doors here on this side of the map, and these doors are Forge objects, and you just delete them, and you can access a whole secret room on Launch Site that was never before seen or never before accessible. And yeah, this is like one of the bigger secret rooms or hallways compared to all the maps we've seen so far. And that leads to this door here, which again, just delete it, and that leads you back outside to the main area of the map. So next up, we have the map Live Fire. So I did a couple videos on this recently, actually covering a certain area, but we'll get to that in a second. But the main new area that you can access in Forge is this room here inside the building. Just delete the door, and you have a whole secret room that you can access here. And inside this room are several other forged objects. Not everything in here is a forgeable object, but there are definitely quite a few forged objects, like the forklift on these crates and pallets and stuff. Those are all forged objects. These computers are not. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can probably do in this room too. And of course, in this hallway in the middle of the map, there's this gated off door here. You could just this you can't delete, so this is technically not official. When I say official, I mean like you could just delete a door or like a wall to access it. But that one you have to just glitch into or fly into with Forge. And of course, last but not least, we have the secret Oni door, the new Oni door that was introduced with Season 3. And if we go behind it, we had this whole playable area, this whole underground cavern that you could forge and play in, which I did use to make a Forge map of a potential, you know, hypothetical underground Oni base. But anyways, next we have the map Streets. On this map, on the left side of the map, there is a gate here. And this one is official because you can delete it and access the other side. And on the other side, well, it's another, I guess, a alleyway that you can access. And I mean, there's not really much out here, but you know, it's another playable area of the map. So yeah, and of course, just like all the other maps, especially with the official areas, it connects to another door that you can delete, and you could just access the map you can access the alleyway from either side. And one interesting thing is that this is a fruit stand here that's not actually real. On Bazaar, the fruit stands you could delete. You could break apart when you shoot them or melee them, but not this one. Anyways, on the other side of the map Streets is another area. This one has a lot of like crates and boxes blocking the way, so you got to delete quite a few of them. And once you get past all of them, you have a fence that's blocking it as well. You can delete that too and go further in, and that leads to another secret alleyway on this map that is fully accessible and playable in. And you know, I'm not like the greatest forger or anything, so I'm not like really great at making forge maps, but I imagine people could probably figure something out for this area. Or you know, it's just cool to explore around. It's a new area of the map that we never could explore before this update came out. So there you guys have it. We can access it now. It's just on the map Streets. This particular area has a lot of things blocking it, so you gotta make sure to delete it all. So that's it for that area. And in case you were wondering about the arcade room, if this is an actual playable area, well, the answer is no, it is not. The room is actually kind of fake. Everything is like not solid inside. There's no collision. So that answers that. Alright, let's move on to the Season 3 maps. All the other maps, including the Season 2 maps, I didn't cover because there's really nothing on them, or nothing interesting that I could find. But if I missed anything, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, on the map Chasm, all the platforms outside are fully playable. It's all left over from campaign. And I'm going to breeze through all this because I've already covered this in a previous video. But on top of the map, on the ceiling, the entire ceiling is a whole playable area as well. And a pretty detailed area too. And it's also outside the map a checkerboard platform. It's a placeholder texture, but it's a solid platform that you could walk around and you could even forge on. So you can make something there. And if you didn't know, the entire map is actually encased in a giant box. And if you manage to break out of that giant box, the top of the box is a fully playable huge area. Alright, next for the map Cliffhanger. This map doesn't have much either, but it does have something behind these two doors. These doors cannot be deleted, so it's not really an official playable area of the map. But if we go back to the others, if we go through to the other side, we can see that there's a whole cave system in here, a pretty big cave actually, and somewhat detailed actually. Those lights are not there by default. I placed them there so you can actually see, because otherwise the cave is pretty dark behind the doors. But once you light up the cave, well, it's a pretty cool area actually that you can explore around, or you could even build something small inside if you really wanted to. And the last of the Season 3 maps we'll be looking at is the map Oasis. So on the map Oasis, we have another door here. Not deletable, so not an official area. but we could still fly through it in Forge, and we could spawn stuff outside, including teleporters and stuff, so we can access it anyways. But you know, it's just not as easily accessible as the official areas that we have on the Season 1 maps. And I specify Season 1 there because it's mostly the Season 1 maps that have stuff like officially hidden by Forge objects. The Season 2 maps, I couldn't really find anything, and the BTB maps for Season 1, I don't think there was anything either. But yeah, so those are all the areas that I know of or I can find or that are interesting on all the multiplayer maps, including the Season 3 maps. So, you know, hopefully you find this video to be interesting and useful, actually, if you're interested in forging some new maps or custom maps based on the dev maps. But, you know, aside from that, make sure to leave a like, leave thoughts and comments. Again, let me know if there's anything I missed on any maps. But aside from that, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.